Good morning, everyone. This is Classwork 22 Honors. Please make sure you watched Classwork 21 Honors before this one. In this lesson, we will be determining probabilities using Venn diagrams. So last time we looked at shading in Venn diagrams, and now we will be relating this all back to probability. So let's look at example number 1. Think again about the school introduced in Classwork 21. Suppose that 230 students play soccer, 190 students play basketball, 60 students play both sports. There are a total of 500 students at the school. Complete the Venn diagram below by writing the numbers of students in the various regions of the diagram. Okay, so first thing I want to do is kind of write out what numbers I've been given. So it says 230 students play soccer, and 190 students play b-ball, and 60 students play both, and then there's a total of 500 students at the school. Okay, so if you remember from last lesson, this circle will be all the students that play soccer, and this students will be all the students that play basketball, and the box will be containing the total number of students. So in total, everything's going to add up to 500. Now, we have 230, 190, and 60 for soccer and basketball numbers. So we know that this circle will represent 230 students because that's how many students play soccer. And then this circle will have 190 students because that's how many students play basketball. But each of these parts of the Venn diagram represent a different thing. So this part is students who only play soccer and not basketball. The middle part will be students who play both, and this side will be students who only play basketball and not soccer. So the way we figure out what goes in each of these spaces is we take these numbers, and both is easy. We can actually put the both number just in here, 60. But to find this number, I need this spot plus 60 to add up to 230 because that's people who only play soccer plus people who play soccer and basketball. So I'm really going to do 230 minus 60 to get 170 for this spot. Same thing for basketball. I'm going to do 190 minus 60 to get 130 students who only, this is basketball only. The total number of students that play basketball is 60 plus 130, which is 190. Okay? Then finally, if I know my total is 500 students, I'm going to say, okay, 170 plus 60 plus 130 plus all the remaining students needs to add up to 500. So I'm going to do 500 minus 170 minus 60 and minus 130. And I should get 140 students that are left over that don't play soccer or basketball. Okay, so question B says, how many students play basketball but not soccer? What do you think? So we're looking at students that play basketball but don't play soccer, so that's just going to be here at 130. All right, and then suppose that a student will be selected at random from the school. What is the probability that the selected student plays both sports? Okay, so here's where we talk about probability, and we know this is just like relative frequency, where this is going to be the count over the total, right? So the probability will be the number of students who play both sports, that's 60, divided by the total number of students at the school, which is 500. And if I use my handy dandy calculator, we will be doing 60 divided by 60 divided by 500. 60 divided by 500 is 0.12. So the probability that a random student plays both sports is 0.12. So notice how what we're doing here to make this a probability question is we're just identifying the correct number for the numerator and the correct number for the denominator of our probability. So we will be also doing conditional probabilities, not just total probability. Now, part 2 says complete the Venn diagram below by writing the probabilities associated with various regions of the diagram, right? So in this case, the 60 went with 0.12. So I'm going to put that 0.12 where the 60 was, right? So that's the probability somebody plays both. Now we want to do probability of only basketball. That would be 130 divided by 500. So that'll be 0.26. Only soccer will be 170 divided by 500, which is 0.34. And finally, the probability that somebody does not play either sport is 140 divided by 500, or 0.28. So now we have a Venn diagram. We've done two different things. We've done a Venn diagram with frequencies and a Venn diagram with probabilities. Okay, so each of these number is a probability that a randomly selected student out of the 500 will be in one of these groups. Okay, so we're just calculating probabilities and putting them in the Venn diagram. Let's do another example. Okay, example 2. Think again about the online bookstore introduced in Classwork 21, and suppose that 62% of the books are works of fiction, 47% are available as ebooks, and 14% are available as ebooks, but are not works of fiction. A book will be selected at random. So that means we're not doing conditional probability, it's all just regular probability. So using a Venn diagram, find the following probabilities. The book is a work of fiction and available as an ebook. So what I like to do is I like to fill in the whole Venn diagram first, okay? And since we're saying probabilities, not percentages, we need to convert each of these numbers to probabilities. So if we say fiction is 62%, that means the probability is 0.62, right? We're dividing the percentage by 100. And then ebooks is going to be 47%, which would be 0.47. And then 14% are ebooks, but not works of fiction. So this is an ebook only is 14%, or 0.14. Okay, so we've been given different information here than in the first example. We don't know the both number, but we know the fiction, which is this whole circle, that'll be 0.62. The ebooks, which is this whole circle, will be 0.47. And then the ebooks only, so ebooks but not fiction, is 0.14. So that's the number that I can place on my diagram without doing anything to it, right? So this is only ebooks, not fiction. Now I can figure out what goes in the middle because I know that both parts of this circle have to add up to 0.47. So I'm going to do 0.47 minus 0.14, and I get 0.33 in this and spot. So fiction and ebooks is 0.33. Then I know 0.33 plus this part of the circle needs to add up to 0.62. So I'm going to do 0.62 minus 0.33, and I get 0.29. Okay? And now once I've got all these, I still need to figure out what's the percent that are not ebooks and not fiction. So I'm going to do the total is, with probability, is always 1.00 because that's all of everything included is 1. So the total, I'm going to do 1 minus 0.29 minus 0.33 minus 0.14 in order to get how many books are not fiction and not ebooks. So 1 minus 0.29 minus 0.33 minus 0.14 is 0.24 will be the rest of the books. Okay, so I've completed my table. Now, I did the whole table. The question only asked for what's the probability that the book is a work of fiction and available as an ebook. So now that we've got everything, we can look for that one spot, right? So fiction and ebook is going to be the middle spot, 0.33. And now part 2 is the book is neither a work of fiction nor available as an ebook. So not fiction, not ebook is going to be the outside part, 0.24. Okay, so it's always helpful to maybe you want to draw a mini diagram for each of these and shade in the correct region, right? I like to draw a picture so I can see, okay, what shaded part represents like the probability I'm trying to create. All right, now we're going to bring this back to a two-way table to show how these two things relate. So return to the information given at the beginning of the question. Here it is again. 62% of the books are works of fiction, 47% are available as ebooks, and 14% are available as ebooks but are not works of fiction. Now we want to see how does this play out in a hypothetical 1000 table. Okay? So we've done this before. If we know 62% are works of fiction, that's going to be total for fiction, right? And if it's 62% of 1,000, we would do 0.62 times 1,000 and get 620. 47 are available as ebooks. So that would be, percentage of 1,000 would be 470. And then 14% are ebooks and not fiction. So we go to ebook and not fiction, and we get 140. Okay? So now that we have this information in our hypothetical 1,000-way table, you know how to complete this. Take a second, do that on your own, and then come back. Okay. So hopefully you paused the video, and we should be getting the following answers: 330, 290, 380, 240, and then 530. Okay? So those are our frequencies of a hypothetical 1,000-way table. And you also know how to make all these probabilities, so go ahead, pause the video, and do that on your own as well. We should be getting 0.33, 0.14, 0.47, 0.29, 0.24, 0.53, 1.0, 0.38, and 0.62. Okay? Now, the question is, how do the probabilities in your table relate to the probabilities you calculated in Part A? So we want to look at compare the table and compare the probabilities in our diagram. So I didn't actually label this Part A, but that's what we're talking about. So we're looking at these probabilities here, from our first activity. So I guess the whole thing is involved, right? I'm going to fold this paper here. Okay, so we found these probabilities, right, based on the Venn diagram, but we can compare this with a two-way table and find the exact same things. That's the whole point here, right? So if we look here as available as an ebook and as a work of fiction, that's exactly what we got for number 1, and that's what we're seeing in the middle part here. Then for 0.29, that's not available as an ebook, but is a work of fiction, right? And we see that in the diagram as, okay, is a work of fiction and is not an ebook. And it totally matches up with what's on our table, okay? So that's the point here. We want to say that each of these cells expresses something that we could also express in the Venn diagram. Now, you might be asking, okay, but where's like 0.38? This is not the total, not fiction, right? So the total not fiction is actually what we would get if we only looked at, this shaded part, or sorry, the outside part, plus the ebooks that are not fiction. So 0.38 is 0.14 plus 0.24, which you do see in the two-way table. So take a minute and pause this and look at this and see how you can get each of these numbers from the Venn diagram. Okay, so I'm not going to answer I'm not going to give it a written answer. I want you to pause video here for answer, in case you're looking at those notes. Okay, so let's do our final example then. Example number 3. And it says, when a fish is selected at random from a tank, the probability that it has a green tail is 0.64. The probability that it has red fins is 0.25. And the probability that it has both is 0.19. Draw a Venn diagram to represent this information. Okay, so I've got two things. So I'm going to do my Venn diagram. This is all the fish. And I'm going to do my two circles. And I'm going to say, okay, this one is for a green tail, and this one is for red fins. Okay. And we're going to fill in all of the probabilities we know. So I like to go to the side and say, okay, green tail is 0.64, red fin is 0.25, and both is 0.19. Now, the important thing to note, again, is that if the whole green tail is 0.64, I need to use the both and subtract in order to find the just green tail, right? So we know both is 0.19. So if you have both a green tail and a red fin, that's going to be in the middle, 0.19. So if you only have a green tail, that's going to be 0.64 minus 0.19. So I'm going to do that in the calculator. 0.64 minus 0.19 is 0.45. For red fins, I'm going to do 0.25 minus 0.16. Sorry, 0.19, which will be 0.06. And then finally, to figure out how many fish, or what's the probability that a fish does not have a green tail and does not have a red fin, I'm going to do 1 minus 0.45 minus 0.19 minus 0.06, and I get 0.30. Okay, so now we can calculate the following probabilities. The fish has red fins but does not have a green tail. And I like to draw a little diagram for this, right? So if the fish has red fins and does not have a green tail, then it's only part of R. So it's this part of our diagram, which is 0.06. Green tail, but no red fins would only be this part of the diagram, or 0.45. Finally, the fish has neither a green tail nor red fins. That's going to be the not green tail, not red fins. That's all the outside portion, or 0.30 probability. Okay? Now, part 3, we want to complete the table below, showing the probabilities of the events corresponding to the cells in the table. So, we can use what we got in part 2, and then finish the whole table, right? And we know the total, whenever we're working with probability, will always be 1.00. So fish has red fins but does not have a green tail will be 0.06. The fish has a green tail but not red fins. Green tail, not red fins, 0.45. The fish has neither a green tail nor red fins, so not and not. And now we can calculate the rest of the cells the way we usually do from the last week's lessons, or we can use more of our information from above. You can do this either way you want. So go ahead and pause and finish this table on your own. All right, so hopefully you've completed this. We should have gotten 0.75, 0.25, 0.19. Green tail total was 0.64, and then 0.36. All right, and that is it for lesson 22. Please let me know if you have any questions. I am happy to help, and I always love hearing from you. All right, good luck.